7th. Like always, you can expect the best crafters from all over Vermont. Free parking, free admission, door prizes, food and refreshments. Stop in and shop over 80 craft vendors at the Mary Berry Holiday Craft Fair at the Berry Auditorium. For more information about the Berry Partnership, email director@theberrypartnership.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date with all things happening here in Berry. The Mary Berry Holidays Craft Fair, November 26th and 27th at the Berry Auditorium.
The Berry Partnership. Strength through vision.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy. We walked around for 35 minutes just in the parking lot looking for this car. The passion. UVM schedules the way they do to get as high a seed as possible in the NCAA tournament and to get as much tournament prep as they can because they're not going to get it from their league. The opinions on all your favorite teams. The organization should be taking care of Matt rather than Matt taking care of the organization. This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com. What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show back at it here on a Monday. Short week for us, so a ton to get to in the next 3 days. Remember, we're off Thursday and Friday. It is a Monday right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Full show, all 90 minutes, right up until 7 o'clock. That it's Jazz with George Thomas. The U.S. men drew at the World Cup today. Some of you have been asking me about that on the text line, so there you go. Dan Graca, the Jets Radio Network and ESPN New York, he's going to be with me at about 6:30 or so to talk about yesterday's game. Thoughts on UVM hoops getting blown out of the gym by Iona on Friday. They'll get ready for Yale tomorrow. So you can get in, as always, on all of that and more on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. Your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville can also watch the show like Kyle and the crew is doing on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and on my Twitter account.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts of the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber. Vermont's most complete, locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com.
On the 16-yard line, Marcus Jones. Got a block from School. Here he goes. He's going to try to beat the cutter. He does. He's gone. And it is a touchdown.
Simply put, that yesterday is one of the more improbable endings I have ever seen in my life. I have seen a ton of great endings. I have seen a ton of bizarre endings. I've seen last-second field goals. I've seen comebacks from way down. I've seen Hail Marys. But to see a game end, a lifeless game, end essentially almost at the buzzer on a punt return, I can't think of too many times I've ever seen that. There was a Deshaun Jackson game against the Giants a bunch of years ago where he ended the game on a punt return for a touchdown. But outside of that, I can't ever recall off the top of my head a game essentially ending on a punt return. Heck, there had been 0 punt returns for touchdowns in the NFL this year, and Marcus Jones took it 80-plus yards to the house yesterday to beat the New York Jets. And you know what? All I can do is smirk. All I can do is laugh. Coming out of that game, all I can really do is laugh. The Patriots' offense was horrible. The Jets' offense was horrible. Both defenses were great, but at the end of the day, the Patriots get a win they might not have deserved, a win that gets them to 6-4. They get that win. They're out of last place because of Marcus Jones, the blocking, and that punt return. Matthew Slater, Patriots leader, has played a lot of football. Even he said he'd never had one go like that.
15 years and never won a game like that. So I don't even know what happened. That was crazy. Unbelievable effort by Marcus, obviously. And fully showcasing his talent, his toughness, coming back, getting nicked up and coming back. Credit to our guys. When we needed it the most, the guys went out there and strapped it up and blocked and gave him a chance to hit it. And then his talent and God-given ability did the rest.
To be perfectly honest, for a long time today, I didn't even know where to start. For a long time, I'm planning the show, I'm thinking about what we're doing, how to address this game. For a long time today, I didn't even know where to start. Let's just start here, I guess. Patriots win, now 6-4, out of last place, still in a playoff position, and now they'll turn around quickly and play on Thursday against Minnesota, who was blown out, by the way, by Dallas. Number one, and we'll unpack the Patriots here in about 10 minutes, but number one, this is what we hoped would be possible when the Patriots selected Marcus Jones. Do you think back to May when the Patriots drafted Marcus Jones out of Houston? This is what we hoped would be possible. You spent all off season discussing how the Patriots need to get more athletic, how they needed to get more athletic, how they needed to be more explosive. Well, when they drafted Marcus Jones, they got more athletic, and there was a chance for them to become explosive in the return game. Now, Marcus Jones is tiny. He's listed as a defensive back. I never thought he was going to be a lockdown corner who was going to, become Jones Island and have 8 picks and return 3 to the house. I hoped that he could cover the fast guys in this league in the slot and that he could be a dynamic return guy. And yesterday, as a couple of times we've seen this year, he was a dynamic return guy. This is what we were hoping for, that he would be fast, that he would be athletic, he would be versatile, and he could help you in a multitude of ways. And yesterday, he did that. I went back and found May 2nd, Matt Groh, Patriots front office member, talking about drafting Marcus Jones.
And Marcus has done even more, you could say, since he's been on both sides of the ball. Primarily a corner, inside, outside, even with his playmaking ability, trying to get the ball in his hands. You're talking about a team in Houston that's, been Coach Holkerson's had really good teams there and been able to put up a lot of points. And this guy was dynamic enough that they take one of their best players on defense and put him on offense, and then they put him back there on punt returns.
Ding, ding, ding. That's what we were hoping for. When the kid was drafted, that's what we were hoping for. We spent all offseason belly aching about the Patriots' lack of athleticism. They got athletic when they drafted this kid, and yesterday he made it pay off. He's made it pay off a few times, right? He's flipped the field. He's given you good field position. He's bailed your offense out. Yesterday, he broke down the door and won you a game. And you know what? With the offense being as rickety as it is right now, you're going to need as many extra plays as possible, right? Interceptions, fumble returns, sacks, blocked punts, punt returns, kick returns. You're going to need all of that stuff. The offense needs bailing out. There's no way to hide it. There's no excuses to make. There's nothing you can say about it. The offense needs help. And the more help a play like Marcus Jones can provide, the better off this team is moving forward. And Marcus Jones, all he could do after was laugh, because he didn't even think he was going to get an opportunity to do that yesterday.
Yeah, my main thing is I thought they was going to go ahead and try to kick it out of bounds due to the time on the clock. But the first thing was trying to make sure that I followed my teammates' block, and then I seen the punter. And I was like, if I make a miss, then I should be able to go the distance.
I didn't make much of this in real time as the game was happening. But after the game, I'm with Marcus Jones and I'm with the experts and the pundits. What are the Jets doing? How are you kicking that ball in any spot on the field where it has a realistic chance at being returned? Why are you not kicking this ball as far as you can and kicking it out of bounds and then trusting your defense to do what it had done all day? Or why are you not kicking it to the sideline, forcing Jones to just catch it and toe tap it and fall out of bounds and be hemmed in? You kicked it in a spot where there was grass in front of him, where there were lanes in front of him, where there were options in front of him, and he made you pay. And thank you very much for that. You know, I said on Thursday last week, I couldn't see the Patriots losing this game. I could not see the Patriots losing to the Jets because to me, the Jets will always be the Jets. Yesterday, the Jets were the Jets. Not kicking that ball right on the sideline or out of bounds was the Jetsiest of moves. I mean, that was unbelievably dumb what the Jets did. They helped bail you out. And number 3, on a more macro level, what yesterday did was buy you time. The win was not pretty. There are a ton of issues with this offense, and it really is alarming what we're seeing offensively. But this win, it gave you time. It bought you another week to figure things out. You get the win. You're 6-4. You're out of the division cellar. You're in the playoffs. You kept pace with Cincy. You passed the Chargers in the AFC. So, again, while it wasn't pretty, you had a pretty good day overall, and you've bought yourself another week to get right. If you had lost this game and you're 5-5, well, now the sky is falling, the urgency is there, and you don't have time to fix it. Now you're 6-4. There's still urgency, but the sky is not falling. I said all along, as you played the Jets and went to Minnesota, you had to get one of the two. You've already gotten one. You want 2 of 2, but you've already got 1 of 2, and that is a huge advantage, despite how awful it looked at times. You can get in on the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. Kyle says, crazy ending. It certainly was. Texter also says, this is Martin in Virgins. Brady, how do you think Mac looked yesterday in all? Martin, I'm going to answer that and unpacking the Patriots, so why don't we just get to that right now, actually. Cue me the music.
Which Patriots popped?
To the 30, to the 20. He is end zone bound. Pick 6. Touchdown. Patriots.
And which ones flopped?
Jones steps up in the pocket, unloads a deep ball, and it's intercepted. That'll put the cherry on top.
We unpack the Patriots now on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Number 1, look, we tend to go good then bad, when we unpack the Patriots. And the Patriots win it 10-3, and there was plenty of both, actually, in this game. Number 1, on the good side, I actually thought Mac Jones looked a lot better. Like, I've been critical of Mac. I've been critical of this offense, and it has a ton of issues overall. Yesterday, I didn't think Mac Jones was really one of them. He went 23 of 27. He threw for 246 yards. It didn't feel it. It didn't feel like the Patriots were doing anything offensively, but they really did move the ball. And Mac Jones really helped them move the ball. He was accurate. He was on time. He was efficient. He hit a few intermediate to deep shots. He was in rhythm. His feet and eyes, like he talked about, appeared to be in sync. I mean, I thought Mac Jones yesterday looked a lot better. Now, it's hard to fully evaluate everything considering they played in bad weather, and so they were clearly not asking him to go real deep. They didn't want the ball hanging up in the air. He also knew the Jets' line was so good he had to get rid of it quick. So there wasn't a whole lot of 7-step drops and a whole lot of reading the entire field. The offense was designed for him to get out everything quick, but he did exactly what he was asked, and I give him credit for that. He got the ball out quick, 1 read go, couple good passes, hit guys on the numbers, gave him a chance to catch and run at times. I mean, by and large, I thought Mac Jones played the best we've seen him play in a few weeks. This was not the game for him to be taking 40-yard shots because of the weather. He got the ball out. He got it in the hands of his playmakers. He looked decisive. I give him credit for that. And Mac was right when he talked after the game. When Mac spoke after the game, he was correct. Do we have that Mac Jones audio? Yes, no, maybe. All right. Yes, we do. Here we go. Okay, Mac was right. When he said this after the game, Mac was absolutely right. He talked about how they did move the ball.
We won the game. I think, obviously, we moved the ball pretty well today, so that's a fact. And we got to be able to move it through that fringe area better. And we got to watch the tape and see what we can do better. But thought we stayed together as a unit, didn't lose our cool, and worked together to try to win. So, obviously, Marcus's return was the icing right there on the cake. But that's a good football team in a tough environment.
Mac's right. They were able to move the ball. I know it didn't feel like it, but they were, and he did. 246 yards through the air, 23 of 27. I would take that output from Mac Jones every week. And I thought yesterday was a general positive step forward for him. On the negative side, you heard it in Mac Jones's voice right there. You heard what he said. We need to move the ball better in those fringe areas. He's absolutely right about that. The red zone remains disastrous for this team. They did move the ball physically down the field, but again, in the red zone, they did absolutely nothing. And it's not all Mac's fault, but they were 0-2 in the red zone, and you cannot have that. 0 for 2 in the red zone is unacceptable, and we're seeing too much of it from this team. 0 for 2, 1 for 5, 1 for 3, 1 for 4. It cannot happen. Eventually, this team is going to have to do something from the 20 and in, because eventually, on the other side, the quarterback is going to be Josh Allen, and it's going to be Joe Burrow, and it might be Justin Herbert, and it might be Patrick Mahomes. It's not going to be. The other quarterback eventually will not be Mitch Trubisky, and it will not be Sam Ehlinger or Zach Wilson or Jacoby Brissett. Eventually, you're going to have to convert, because if you want to beat those upper echelon quarterbacks, you're not doing it kicking 4 field goals very often. The Patriots are 31st in the NFL in red zone touchdown percentage. It is not enough to move the ball. Moving the ball is important. Don't get me wrong. You got to be able to get up and down the field, but you've got to be able to punch it in. There are good teams. There are teams with good records who are not great in the red zone, right? Tampa's down at the bottom of the league in red zone touchdown percentage. Seattle's not very good in the red zone. But bottom line, if you are great in the red zone, you're pretty much guaranteed to be a really good team, right? You might be able to be good and have a good record being at the bottom of the league. But if you're at the top of that category, odds are you're pretty good. 6 of the top 7 teams in terms of red zone touchdown percentage right now are playoff teams. 6 of 7. Buffalo's there. Dallas is there. Good teams, or rather teams that we consider to be excellent, they get in the red zone, they score touchdowns. The Patriots are getting out of the red zone, and they're just hoping. And they're taking 3 after 3 after 3. You cannot do that. Not against good teams. Maybe it works against Zach Wilson. Maybe it works against Jacoby Brissett. Eventually, at the level you want to win at, it is not going to work. Back on the good side of things, unpacking the Patriots here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We do need to give props to the defense. It's always our desire to come on and talk about the offense, especially because the offense has been so problematic. We do need to give the defense credit. I'm well aware the quarterback gauntlet that I just outlined for you hasn't been all that special. But at the end of the day, when you hold NFL offenses to barely 100 yards and you hold a team to less than 10 yards of offense in an entire half, as the Patriots did yesterday, you are doing something right, and you are doing something that is very, very commendable and deserves to be recognized. They made Zach Wilson's life hell yesterday. They got pressure on him. Zach Wilson is the worst quarterback in the league against pressure. And they've done it to more than just him. They've done it to Wilson twice. They've done it to the Colts. They've done it to an excellent Lions offense. It is not a murderer's row of opponents the Pats have faced, but the Pats defense has come to play. We have talked for years, about how easy it seems to be to score in the NFL. I've been talking for the last 5 years about games that were 49-45. And here we are, the Patriots are stopping everybody. I mean, the numbers are outstanding. They've allowed 6 points in the last 2 games. They've allowed 224 yards total in the month of November. They are just the first team in the last 43 years to allow a team to 45 yards net passing or fewer back-to-back games. I mean, they are insane right now. And they are doing this with almost an entirely new core of defensive players. They're nearly all new at linebacker. They are without J.C. Jackson from last year in the defensive backfield. Christian Barmore didn't play yesterday. They are finding ways to not just be good, but they are dominant right now. Lesser competition, yes. But look, man, Taylor Heineke's won 4 games in a row for Washington. Geno Smith is an MVP candidate. Quarterbacks that we think are less than are winning games. Marcus Mariota has his team, at 500 right now. So quarterbacks that we think are less than are doing things in the NFL. The Patriots are allowing nothing. And one guy we have to single out above the rest, that's Matthew Judon.
Play, fourth quarter, into the wind, Zach Wilson. Here they come, Judon, another sack. Down he goes.
Matthew Judon has been a stud. He's got 13 sacks on the season. It's his career high already, and we've played just 10 games. He leads the NFL in sacks at 13. He has been elite. And he's doing it while not playing every snap. Like, they have made a concerted effort to keep him fresh, and it seems to be paying off because he has been a stud. And number 4, unpacking the Patriots, this one not so good. The offensive line continues to just be horrendous. Right? I thought Mac played fairly well. Part of the reason he had to get rid of the ball so quick is because his offensive line could not be trusted. And that's not a situation you want to be in. David Andrews is hurt again. It might be for the entirety of the season. Trent Brown's been in and out. He was reportedly ill this week, so he couldn't play a bunch. Like, the line was just bad yesterday. They allowed 6 sacks against the Jets. The 2 red zone field goal misses followed a very similar script. I know I just talked about the red zone issues. You think it's about Mac. Not necessarily. Look, Nick Folk missed a 44-yard field goal yesterday. What happened before that? There was a holding penalty and then a sack. Nick Folk missed a 43-yard field goal yesterday. There was a sack, a holding penalty, and then 2 other plays. I mean, like, you can't be in 1st and 25. You can't be in 2nd and 19 and in 3rd and 13. No offense is built to play that way. The Patriots really aren't built to play that way. The line cannot put Mac in a position that he can't win. Right? When the Patriots are at their best, when Bailey Zappi was winning games, what were they doing? The line was pushing guys around. They're running it on 1st down and getting 6, and it's 2nd and 4. And they're running it again, and they're getting 3, and it's 3rd and 1. And now they're able to run the ball 1st down. Then the next time, they run the ball, get 5, it's 2nd and 5. Then they take a play-action shot, and if they don't get it, it's still 3rd and manageable. You talk about this offensive line and this group. What are they turning over to Mac Jones? They're giving him, hey, on 1st and 10, we're going to run it and get Bupkis at 2nd and 12. Then we're going to get sacked and it's 3rd and 17. And the drive is over at that point. Or we're going to go forward and we're going to get called back because of a penalty. And now it's 2nd down and 14. And then it's 3rd and 9. And we got nothing again and the drive is over. The offensive line has been leaky. It has been porous. It has been undependable. Okay? I think Mac and Matt Patricia, I think they've all had a lot of issues this year. But the offensive line has been a repeated problem the last couple of weeks. Again, Mac had to get the ball out quickly yesterday. Why? The line could not be trusted. Back on the good side of things, I do want to give Damian Harris a lot of credit. Right? I want to give Damian Harris a lot of credit. He had 8 carries yesterday. He had 65 yards rushing.
2nd down, 5, and here they go. Damian Harris cuts outside. It's a good race with Reed, and hit by Joyner inside the 40.
8 carries, 65 yards. That's not a lot of carries, but it's 8 yards per carry. And as far as I'm concerned, that was huge. I spoke last week about who I wanted to see step up in the second half of the season, and Damian Harris was one of them. Now, he had been injured. He was inactive the last game, so it's not like he was just being bad. But I need him to be available, and I want him to be the guy that he was a year ago down the stretch. This team needed to take some of the heat off Ramondre Stevenson, right? Stevenson, 3 down back, running it a lot, catching out of the backfield, working in pass protection. You can't put that much pressure on Ramondre Stevenson. Damian Harris had to be able to step up, and yesterday he did. Now, Stevenson still carried it 15 times, and he still had 6 catches, so he still had 21 touches. But Damian Harris took 10 additional touches away from him and allowed him to remain fresh, and that's huge. 8 carries for Harris, 2 catches for Harris. I think Damian Harris has more in there if they want to try to get to a closer to 50-50 balance, but they needed to get him going, and they got him going yesterday, and he provided a big boost because Stevenson didn't do a lot, right? Stevenson had 15 carries for 26 yards. He did nothing in the run game. He was far better as a pass catcher. Damian Harris was great in the run game, and he helped you spell Stevenson and move the ball down the field. And finally, I'll make a lesser note of this on the negative side. I thought some of the play calling and game management stuff yesterday for the Patriots was absolutely embarrassing. Like, they won the game, so we're going to tend to forget about this stuff. Don't forget about this. What happened yesterday was embarrassing as far as I'm concerned. Remember the field goal that Nick Folk made that made it 3-0 Patriots? That was a dreadful sequence. Like, how does this happen? The Patriots let the clock run out on the first quarter, right? They let the clock run out to get us to the second quarter. That's fine. The clock runs out. You have the entire television timeout between the first quarter ending and the second quarter starting. You have the entire television timeout to figure out what we're going to do. Are we going to go for it on 4th and 1, or are we going to kick the field goal? But instead, the Patriots have to come back out and use a timeout to decide that. You had all of the television break to decide what you're going to do, and you still had to waste a timeout? Again, when you're playing Patrick Mahomes and it's the AFC playoffs, you're going to need that timeout. You can't be wasting it when you just had 3 minutes of commercial time to figure it out. So they waste the timeout, and then they kick the field goal. Now, they took the points, and in hindsight, fine, I guess 2020, but I would have gone for it. 4th and 1 at the Jets 6 or whatever it is, I'd have gone for it, tried to get it, tried to get to 7, and with my defense, I'm confident 7-0 can hold up, or if I don't get it, they're not going to be able to go down the field and drive down and score a touchdown on me the other way. I would have gone for the TD. They didn't. They were up 3-0. Again, you want to beat Patrick Mahomes on the road in Arrowhead come playoff time? You're going to have to do it with more than field goals, and they chose for the field goal yesterday. Also, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, 4th and 3, second half, they ran a toss play to the left. That play had no chance. What is Matt Patricia doing there? A 4th and 3 toss play, I believe, to the short side of the field. Was doomed from the start. So it's just gross that they had to turn it over on downs there. Texter says, Joe on the Facebook Live chat, the offense is god-awful. Yes, Mac had great stats. 3 points off a bye shouldn't happen. I think it's Zappy time. They just play better with him in there, and they're more of a unit. I disagree. I thought yesterday Mac Jones played better. The offensive line yesterday was more the problem than Mac. The offensive line and the weather. They couldn't throw it deep down the field. Zappy wouldn't have been throwing it deep down the field either in that weather. Mac threw short. It helped the line. It was better for the weather. He let guys make plays. So I thought Mac was fairly good yesterday, to be perfectly honest with you. As for, Zappy being better in general, the offensive line was playing better when Zappy played. That's for sure. The offensive line now is battered and injured. They got to get that right. I don't think Zappy would have looked any better than Mac yesterday, given what he's going through, or given what the line is putting him through. Roz in Essex Junction. Brady, where does that rank for you in terms of improbable Patriots games? Well, I've only been here 6 years, right? So I don't have like a full breadth of knowledge of the entire organization. But for me, top of my head, third most improbable game. One is the Super Bowl, down 28-3. That's number one and will always remain number one. It's the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history. The second one is the Miami Miracle that the Patriots lost, right? Kenyon Drake gets the ball. They do the laterals. Kenyon Drake ends up carrying it, and Gronk is playing defense at that point, and the Patriots lose. That game was one of the last games of the season. I remember it was my Christmas tree. I got my Christmas tree that day at White's Tree Farm in Essex, and the Patriots ended up losing that game on the last play of the game. Those two are more improbable. Yesterday, though, that was pretty improbable, but pretty fun. CBS News is coming up next, and then UVM Hoops. I'll tell you what happened to them over the weekend on DEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Dell Small Business.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Investigators have released the names of all 5 people killed at a gay nightclub over the weekend in Colorado Springs. The place was considered a haven for the LGBTQ community there.
It's not a safe space anymore. It's not. I personally cannot go back in there. I know I can't.
CBS's Matt Piper has more now on the suspected shooter.
Anderson Lee Aldrich now faces 5 murder charges and 5 charges of committing a bias-motivated crime causing bodily injury. Police say the 22-year-old used an AR-15-style semi-automatic weapon during the Saturday night rampage.
Investigators are still scouring his social media for a motive. Still no word on what caused a driver to slam into an Apple store near Boston this morning, killing a construction worker and sending more than a dozen others to the hospital. Hingham District Attorney Tim Cruz.
This morning was an unthinkable morning, and people are trying to get through it and process what happened.
President Biden has approved federal aid to help Western New York dig out from several feet of snow, which trapped a lot of people at home. And Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown tells us he gets why folks are frustrated.
You have a historic Mother Nature event with over 4 feet of snow in a densely populated area. I don't know where people expect all that snow to go.
A comedian is out of the hospital.
Jay Leno suffered serious burns on his face, hands, and chest a week and a half ago while he was working on one of his cars. The 72-year-old Leno is an avid car collector. He spent 10 days at the Grossman Burn Center undergoing 2 surgical procedures. The hospital released a picture of a smiling Leno along with members of the medical staff. He will still require outpatient treatment.
That's CBS's Steve Futterman reporting. Penguin Random House and rival Simon & Schuster have scrapped a $2.2 billion merger. The Justice Department had been investigating the deal, saying it would hurt competition for big books and authors. Simon & Schuster is owned by Paramount, which is the parent company of CBS News. First Lady Jill Biden welcomed the White House Christmas tree today. The 20-year-old 18.5-foot con-color fir comes from Auburn, Pennsylvania. It'll stand in the Blue Room of the White House. And this comes just hours after President Biden officially pardoned 2 turkeys, saving them from becoming Thanksgiving dinner.
I hereby pardon, yes. I hereby pardon chocolate and chip.
The 2 birds from North Carolina were named after the president's favorite ice cream flavor. The Dow lost 45 points today. The Nasdaq was down 121. This is CBS News.
Dell Technologies Black Friday starts now with up to 50% off select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
Dell Technologies Black Friday event has arrived with select deals on top tech to power business productivity. The savings start now with up to 50% off select performance business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, including free shipping on everything. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Black Friday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wet Jet. With Swiffer Wet Jet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wet Jet. The faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
In Scotland, a message from the past has emerged.
A plumber in Edinburgh, Scotland couldn't believe his eyes when he cut a hole in some floorboards and found a dusty old whiskey bottle with a message inside it. After rushing downstairs to tell the homeowner, they both broke the bottle open. The note inside was dated October 6, 1887, and it said, James Ritchie and John Grieve laid this floor, but they did not drink the whiskey. Whoever finds this bottle may think our dust is blowing along the road. Vicky Barker, CBS News, London.
Swipe far right. A man from Delaware has been sentenced to 30 days in jail after bailing on a Tinder date to take part in the January 6th insurrection. Prosecutors say Jeffrey Schaefer drove from Delaware to Northern Virginia to spend the night at home of a woman he met on the online dating app. The next day, while watching the riot on TV, he hopped in an Uber to the Capitol. Monica Ricks, CBS News.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
This is Freddie Coleman of ESPN, and you're listening to Brady Farkas Show right here at WDEV and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Reminder, Dan Graca, ESPN Radio New York, is going to be with us. He's from the Jets Radio Network as well. He'll be with us at about 6:35 or so. Talk about the Jets' perspective on what happened yesterday as the Patriots now move to 6-4 out of last place. The Jets fall to 6-4, and the Pats now ahead of them in the standings by virtue of the tiebreaker. Jazz with George Thomas is coming up at 7 o'clock. A reminder, you can hear all of our exclusive interviews and our full show podcasts, well, right on our podcast channel on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and at WDEVradio.com. UVM men's basketball team is going to take on Yale tomorrow night before they head off to the Bahamas, and the Catamounts were blown out in Mohegan Sun on Friday night by Iona. Final score was 71-50, and with the loss, UVM is now 1-4 on the young season. And I don't want to spend a ton of time on Friday's game per se, because it was a few days ago, right? Like, by now, you have watched the game or looked at the highlights or read the story or looked at the box score. There's not a lot that I'm going to tell you about that game that you just don't know at this point. But man, that Friday night game was ugly. And I'm thinking about it. We're 5 games into this season. UVM is 1-4, and they've already got 2 20-plus point losses. In 40% of their games, they have been embarrassed. They were embarrassed by St. Mary's, and they were embarrassed by Iona on Friday. By Rick Pitino's team, they were embarrassed. Now, the Iona game was reasonably close for a while, right? It was 8-10 to 12 for a lot of the second half. So maybe it was closer than the 21-point final outcome indicated. But Iona pulled away from that game late. They bullied UVM late. Iona dominated it throughout. It wasn't always a huge margin, but Iona was in control from the opening tip-off. They dominated the game effort-wise. They dominated the game athletically. They pressed UVM almost the entire game. UVM had 17 turnovers in that game versus Iona having just 9. They shot 49% from the floor. You shot 42%. They hit 3 times as many three-pointers as you did. It was a thorough drubbing. Again, it was closer for most of the game than the 21-point finale would indicate, but Iona was in control from the tip-off. And it was a very disappointing game for UVM because you were in a neutral site against a fellow mid-major power, a game that you had a chance to assert yourself, at least on the mid-major landscape for this year, or keep yourself asserted on the mid-major landscape, and instead you flopped. UVM flopped in a standalone neutral site game against a really good mid-major opponent, against an opponent that at the mid-major level you could measure yourself against. It was an absolute shellacking. And let me say this very, very clearly, and let me say this very, very calmly as well. I do believe that within league play in the America East, UVM is going to be generally fine. I really think no matter what happens in the non-conference, barring injury, no matter what happens in the non-league portion of their schedule, UVM is going to be good within the America East. I think they are headed for, at minimum, a 12-win league season. That is just where the America East is at right now. Right? I think UVM could not win another game in the non-conference and end up at least 12-4 inside of league play. So I do believe UVM is going to be fine in the league. But right now, they are not fine. They are not fine right now. Iona is good. They're preseason number 1 in the MAC. The loss by UVM isn't even what concerns me, right? Like, Iona's good. If UVM had lost this game 72-70, I'd be disappointed, but the loss is not what's bothering me here. It is the way that UVM lost and the way that UVM has been losing. After a positive step forward against USC, this one on Friday was a massive step back. Again, they'll figure it out in league play, and they're good enough in the league to just kind of win on talent alone. But right now, through 5 games, UVM does not look like an NCAA tournament caliber team, and they are not playing NCAA tournament caliber basketball. I mean, a couple of big takeaways, not just from Friday, a couple of big takeaways just from the game or from the season itself thus far through 5 games. UVM is having a really, really hard time scoring. I mean, right now, as it stands, UVM does not have a true bucket getter. And that's what you need. If you are going to be a team that can close out a game, that can come from behind in a game, that can put a game away, if you want to win a tournament game in your own league, if you want to win a tournament game at the national level, you need at least one true bucket getter. And right now, UVM doesn't have one. Okay, the scoring has been incredibly hard to come by. I mean, Dylan Penn is supposed to be that guy. He is supposed to be your 5th-year senior, your transfer in, your Atlantic Sun Tournament Player of the Year come in transfer. He is supposed to be that guy, and he had just 10 points on Friday. I said all along that Dylan Penn needed to average 16 points a game for this team to do what it wants to do offensively. And right now, through 5 games, Dylan Penn has had 16 or more once. I say he needs to average 16. Well, 4 of 5 games, he is under that. Okay, he had 10. Not awful, but it's not 16, and it's not 20, and it's not 22. The bucket getter on your team is supposed to be a guy that you can go to and lean on offensively, and Dylan Penn is supposed to be that guy, and right now he's not. But it goes far beyond him. I don't want to just pick on the new guy. Aaron Deloney. He's got a major hand in this also. I said that he needed to get 14 points a game. We talked about his consistency being a question mark. He got 32 on opening night. In the remaining 4 games since then, he's got double figures one time. One time. Okay? In 3 of 5 games, he's been held to single digits. And guess what? On Friday night, he had 0, and that comes off a game in which he had 3. So the last 2 games, Aaron Deloney has 3 points. Dylan Penn and Aaron Deloney on Friday night combined for 10 points between them. Those are your 2 best offensive players, and they had combined for 10 points. You can't have it. You cannot have it. Scoring has been tough. And then Finn Sullivan, he's got a hand in this too. We talk about him also needing 14 points a game. He had 7 on Friday, and he also had 7 turnovers. When you have 7 turnovers and 7 points, you are basically a net 0 or a likely negative on the night offensively. You cannot have that. It's just all around right now for UVM, it is just bad offense, and you cannot win that way. Catamount. I mean, everywhere you turn, there's almost nothing good to say about what happened on Friday. And there have been too many trends that haven't been good for the entirety of the season. UVM on Friday was 2 of 12 from three-point range. TJ Hurley, your top freshman, played 2 minutes, went scoreless. Robin Duncan, a 100th-year senior, had 2 points. So your best young player gets nothing offensively. Your longest tenured veteran gives you just 2 points. Your best player gives you 10. Your second best player, Deloney, gets you 0. The offense is too inconsistent. You need players to step up consistently. UVM, I promise you, they are too good, and they are too talented, and they are too veteran-laden to put up 50 points against a mid-major. I don't care how good Iona is or how good Rick Pitino is. UVM is too talented to score just 50 points. You could walk into a high school gym on most nights in the state of Vermont, and you're going to see somebody getting 50 or getting at least 50 in a high school game. And UVM got 50 in a college game. It just cannot happen. Again, they will figure this out by the league. They will. They will win a bunch of games inside the America East. Heck, they might win the America East tournament. But if they do, we'll go back and compliment them in March. Right now, through 5 games, this has been ugly, ugly offense. We have seen on any given night guys who can step up, right? I've seen Deloney get 32. I've seen Penn get 27. I've seen Finn Sullivan get 17. They need the team to piece it together. They need guys to piece it together. We need to see more than one guy per night. I mean, you're not going to beat anybody getting one player in double figures like they did on Friday. Against USC, they had barely 2 players in double figures. You cannot have that. 2 for 12 from 3 you cannot have. UVM right now is 218th in the NCAA in three-point shooting percentage. And I don't want to be alarmist, and I don't want to be overreactive. This happened last year, where UVM struggled out of the gate offensively and where they couldn't shoot out of the gate offensively. And then they rolled inside league play. They will get this better. But I don't want them to enter league play at 4-10. I don't want them to enter league play at 218th in three-point shooting. I want them to start to figure it out. And I want them to start to be consistent. They have too many good players to not be. Too many. 3 guys in double figures for Iona. You had 1. Their bucket getter, their leading scorer got 23. The next guy got 20. The next guy got 14. And your leading scorer got 10. You cannot win that way. You cannot win that way. And this has been a problem now all season. Right? It's been a problem all season. Deloney got 32 in the opener. You needed a superhuman effort from him just to win that game. They won it by 15, but if Deloney gets an average of 15, then that game's tied going to overtime. Dylan Penn needed 27 against Cal State Fullerton, right? In a double overtime game. He needed 27. They didn't get anything offensively against USC. They got nothing against Iona. They got nothing against St. Mary's. They got to start to figure this out. Yale is a winnable game tomorrow. It's a very good Ivy League team. But it is a winnable game tomorrow. And I want to see 3 guys in double figures. I don't want to see them go 8 for 20 from 3. I don't want to see them go 12 for 15 at the line. I want to see a complete game, and we haven't had it yet. The Brown game was close, but we haven't had it yet. Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line open, 802-585-3026. Charles says, I think we're in for a long season, which I didn't expect going in. Major drop-off in basketball ability this year. I don't think that's the case. Now, I'll say this. Ben Shungu and Ryan Davis were special. When you lose the 2 best players in the league, it's hard to overcome that, right? Like, let's just call a spade a spade. Ryan Davis and Ben Shungu leave to graduation. You are bound to see a drop-off, especially at the beginning of the year. So I'm not surprised that UVM is not as good as last year. I'm not surprised that UVM is struggling out of the gate. I am surprised at how they're struggling. I am surprised that they're getting one player in double figures. I'm surprised they don't have a take charge guy offensively. But I'm not surprised that it doesn't look like it did at the end of the season last year. I do think they'll figure it out. I do believe Dylan Penn is very good. And I see flashes from him where I think he can take over, or I think he's about to take over. And I know they can shoot better than 2 of 12 from 3. So they'll figure this out. They just need to start doing it soon. Because if they go 4-10 in the league, or until the league, then, you're going to end up with a 18-14 record. And I'm not about that. I want to win 20 games again. I've gotten spoiled. I want to win 20 games again. And if you're going to do that, start figuring it out soon. Ralph over in New York, I've listened to the game on the radio. It was bad. I assume he means UVM and not the Patriots, because both were not overly entertaining. But UVM game, I could only imagine how it was on radio. I watched every second of it, right? Like, I got home early on Friday because we didn't have a show. I got home early. I plopped in my chair. I watched every single minute of that game. And you know what else was shocking? Was the television broadcasters. Doug Sherman was one of them for ESPN+. The television broadcasters, they were questioning UVM's effort. And you know what? It's hard to blame them for that. Aaron Deloney and Dylan Penn did not start the second half. Those are your two best players. Why are they not starting the second half? Not trying hard enough. That's what they thought. You know what? They're probably right. Deloney played 13 minutes in the game. I don't know what message I don't know what prompted John Becker to want to send that message, but he was sending a message. TJ Hurley played just 2 minutes. There was a message being sent there. And the television crew thought it was because of effort. Peter in Williston. Brady, my mom and I are listening this afternoon as she awaits a physical therapist appointment. Thank you. She says she believes this UVM Catamounts team is going to rebound and have their usual strong campaign going forward, but the lack of roster depth is a huge problem. Best regards and much cheer to the listeners, everyone at DEV, and you, Captain Brady. Thank you very much, Peter. I don't know that I'm Captain Brady, but I'd be happy to lead this crew, to lead this show and all of our listeners on this ride. UVM has roster depth. This is a thing that bothers me. They do have roster depth. They have 8 guys that can play. They have 9 guys that can play. Look, they've shown in spurts. Guys have shown in spurts the ability to be really good, right? We've seen it from Dylan Penn. We've seen it from Deloney. We've seen Robin Duncan lead the team in scoring on a night and get double figures. I've seen it from Finn Sullivan. Io Falele has actually played pretty well in games that he's come into. I've seen Cam Gibson has done better and better as we've gone through. We've seen TJ Hurley do it at times. Like, I've seen it all from guys. Nick Fiorillo, I know, is a guy who can get 8 points a game. I've seen it in spurts. We just got to see more guys put it together. It's too much. It's too disjointed. Okay? This guy goes for 20 and everybody else goes for 4, 6, 6. I need 15, 15, 15. That's what I need. All right. Dan Graca, ESPN New York, is going to be with us in about 15 minutes, but let's get back quick. I got a couple things more on UVM athletics I want to get to before Dan Graca, because it's not just about the UVM basketball team, but right now I want to get back into the Jets and Patriots real quick.
Whoa. What did he say? Well, they have an expensive but totally unimpressive receiving core, and they have at absolute best, at most charitable, the 9th best quarterback in their own conference. They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What is brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash. That's Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes. It begins at just $20 a month. If you want one free car wash, all you have to do is text the word Vermont to 3400. But then again, if you want unlimited car washes as winter approaches, it's $20 a month. So Jets quarterback Zach Wilson is getting a ton of grief for not only how he played yesterday, not only how he's played this season, but for how he handled himself after yesterday's loss to the Patriots at the podium. And make no mistake, Zach Wilson yesterday was awful. It was 9 of 22. His offense had barely 100 yards total. He was well under 50% completion percentage, 77 yards. Like, through 20 starts in his career, he's very much akin to Jamarcus Russell, one of the biggest busts in NFL history. So it's been very bad for Zach Wilson, and now his coach, Robert Saleh, isn't even guaranteeing him the starting job on Sunday when the Jets take on the Bears. After the game yesterday, Zach Wilson was asked this question.
As an offense, though, I mean, when you guys are only able to score 3 points, the defense only lets up 3 points. I mean, do you feel like you let the defense down at all?
No, he says, and then he walked off, right? So he's asked, do you think you let the defense down? Zach Wilson says no twice, and then the press conference ends. Now, Wilson took a little bit more accountability in a later one-on-one interview, but by and large, he doesn't feel like he was the problem yesterday. That is not a good look. That is not a good look. Now, I'm not a Jets fan, so I'm not as riled up as all of them are about this, but if that were Mac Jones, if that were a Patriots quarterback with that lack of accountability, with that lack of self-awareness, I would be furious. And more importantly, if I were Zach Wilson's teammates, I would be furious at that attitude. Like, if I'm Zach Wilson's defensive teammates, if I'm Sauce Gardner, if I'm Quinnen Williams, I'm out there thinking what? Like, I am grinding defensively. I'm limiting the Patriots to 3 points. They also can't move the ball, and your unit, specifically you, can't do anything to get us some support. And then you go up to the podium and take zero responsibility for it. If I were Zach Wilson's teammates, that would irk me to no end, because we all know what side of the ball is the problem. We all know what side of the ball is the problem. I mean, not being able to move the ball is one thing, but not taking accountability, that's another. Zach Wilson clearly not doing a great job at endearing himself to his fan base, and clearly not doing a good job at endearing himself to his teammates. Go back to 2020, right? And go back to the Patriots and go back to Cam Newton. Cam Newton stood up at the podium every game, and he took the arrows. And he said, I got to be better. And he said, I was playing poorly. And he said, it's on me. And he complimented everybody else. Now, you don't have to like Cam, the player. But there's a reason that Cam was so respected. There were people like me, there were fans like me that liked Cam's honesty and his vulnerability. And I bought into it. And then there were also his teammates that at least respected the hell out of him. You don't have to like him, the player. You didn't have to want him to be back last year, fine. But part of the reason that Cam Newton was so liked by his teammates and by the media and by us, by the fans, was that he was willing to stand up there and take responsibility in a way that Zach Wilson isn't. Zach Wilson could learn a real lesson from Cam Newton about accountability, about vulnerability. Cam was willing to take the arrows, man. He was on a 1-year contract. He didn't have anything protecting him in the future. Zach Wilson at least has 3 years left on his deal, and at least has the cloak of being the number 2 pick over him. And he can't take responsibility. That's a problem. That would be a problem to me if I were a Jets teammate. And there's already been the reports that came out this morning about some infighting in the Jets locker room over those comments. Text says Saleh is right to not give him the starting job for this week right out, guaranteed. Get the message, young man, loud and clear. I mean, look, when you are a young quarterback, when you are a quarterback, I should say, you are the CEO of the franchise, right? You are the CEO of the franchise. This isn't baseball, right? The Chris Sale takes accountability. He's 20% of the Red Sox starting rotation. He's 20% of the rotation, and he puts everything on him. Zach Wilson is the CEO of the New York Jets. He is the most front-facing member of the organization. He's got to stand up there and be accountable. It's not good for the fan base. It's not good for the teammates. It is not a good look. It is not a good one. And again, say what you want about Cam Newton in 2020. Cam Newton got that. And it endeared him to the fans, to the media, and to his teammates. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Dan Graca, ESPN Radio in New York, the Jets Radio Network, is going to be with us in a couple of minutes. Until we hear from Dan, though, I'm going to run down a couple of other really cool things involving UVM athletics. It's not just UVM men's basketball. I'm going to take you on a quick tour around Catamount Country and tell you what you should be paying attention to. That's next on DEV.
Did you know there's more than $109 million of unclaimed financial property in Vermont, and that the Vermont State Treasurer's Office receives millions in new unclaimed property each year? Some of it could be yours. There's no charge or commission to claim your money. And even if you've checked before, check again. Search for your name online at missingmoney.vermont.gov or call 1-800-642-3191. It's your money. Claim it.
Hi, folks. Ian King here at Lamoille Valley Ford with a special announcement. The fall foliage blowout sale is on at Lamoille Valley Ford. Business is off the charts here at Lamoille Valley, and with tons of inventory in stock and on the way, we're on a mission to move out the 22s. Right, kids?
Spot on, Dan. Despite what you're seeing and hearing out there, I want you to know that at Lamoille Valley Ford, not only is our lot loaded with Ford Escapes, Bronco Sports, Edges, Explorers, and hands down the largest inventory of Ford trucks in Vermont, we also have over 300 new Fords in the pipeline. And because of that huge inventory, we've now taken in dozens of clean, one-owner, late-model cars, trucks, and SUVs, and they're available for immediate delivery. More importantly, we're ready to make deals and earn your business today. So listen to this offer just in time for winter driving. Come make your best deal on any in-stock, new or pre-owned SUV, and Lamoille Valley Ford will include 4 snow tires for just $1.
Woo! So drive Route 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and save big during the fall foliage blowout sale happening now at Lamoille Valley Ford.
At Northfield Savings Bank, we celebrate the ways you work and why you work. To build a business, to make a brighter future, to do something that matters. You don't do just one thing in your business. Neither do we. Whatever your size, you have goals for yourself and those around you. Our commitment is helping you get there. Builders, makers, doers. Northfield Savings Bank. Find out more about us at nsbvt.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GOLD for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GOLD for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GOLD for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up.
Looking for a little more art in your life? Discover the rich arts and culture scene right at downtown Waterbury. Find the perfect artwork to add to your home, whether you prefer pretty paintings and photographs or stunning ceramic sculptures. Find something that combines form and function, or stock up on supplies to keep you busy through fall and winter. Or take a self-guided tour of Waterbury's fantastic public arts in downtown and beyond. While you're looking, keep an eye out for the architecture and other landmarks, or combine it with a historic walking tour. Discover the creative side of Waterbury. Learn more at discoverwaterbury.com. Anytime is the time for ice cream. Ben & Jerry's Waterbury Scoop Shop has all your favorite flavors available to be scooped into a cup, a freshly baked waffle cone, a hot fudge sundae, blended into a milkshake, or even packed to create the most delicious ice cream cake ever. So many Ben & Jerry's flavors to choose from, including our iconic lineup, non-dairy options, and for your four-legged pals, our doggy desserts. We're open Tuesday through Saturday. Give us a call, swing by, or order online. Your taste buds will thank you. Peace, love, and ice cream from Ben & Jerry's.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
This is Field Yates of ESPN, and you're listening to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV Radio and the WDEV app.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on this Monday on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Dan Graca, ESPN New York Jets Radio Network, is going to call in here momentarily while we're waiting for him. I want to take you on a mini tour around Catamount Country, because we just spend a lot of time talking about UVM basketball. We always talk a lot about UVM basketball. I know how important that is to the state and to the campus community and to those of us kind of from central to northern Vermont on. So we're always going to talk a lot of Catamount hoops, but there's a few other things I want to run down from the week and you should be paying attention to. The UVM men's soccer game last night was absolutely incredible. So the UVM men's soccer team is now going to the Sweet 16. We are talking about wins away from winning a national championship, right? We're talking about Sweet 16, Elite 8 final, 4 wins from a national championship. This isn't an America East Conference championship. This isn't an NIT equivalent championship. This is 4 wins away from a national championship. UVM was playing SMU last night on the road. They were down 2 goals with 25 minutes to play, which in soccer might as well like being down 30 points in a football game. They came back and scored 3 goals. 3 goals from that point forward and won that game 3-2. And as a result, they're going to be back home at Virtue Field hosting a Sweet 16 game on Saturday night against UCLA. That's right. UVM is hosting an NCAA tournament game, a Sweet 16 game, a game that leads you to the Final 8 nationally. This is historic stuff. We haven't seen this in 30 years for UVM. Catamounts, I believe, hosting their first Sweet 16 since 1989. Maybe it's even in it for the first time since 1989. I have to go back and check it on my notes, but I encourage you to go to this game. If you are in town for the holiday, I encourage you to go, because you don't get to see Sweet 16s in this state at the Division I level ever. And you're going to see it on Saturday night. 2, UVM men's hockey. I want to give a shout out to Todd Woodcroft, our guy there. His team picked up 2 big points on the road at number 9 nationally ranked Providence over the weekend. We talked about how UVM would follow up a good weekend against UNH, and we knew it would be hard against Providence, right? We said that. Well, they got blown out 4-0 on Friday. But on Saturday, they came back and took Providence to overtime and got 2 points. And look, this is not just a moral victory, right? Hockey is not football, right? When we say the Patriots tried hard and they got beat by Green Bay 27-24 in overtime, and they were close, and there's this takeaway and that takeaway, that is a moral victory. This is not a moral victory for UVM men's hockey. They got 2 out of 3 tangible points in that game. That's huge. That is huge. Helpful in the Hockey East standings, helpful in recruiting, helpful for the psyche of the team. Good for Todd Woodcroft and his guys. They got 2. It's a good sign of their team's character. They didn't get way over their head from a 5-point weekend against UNH the weekend before. They didn't get 2 down after getting beat 4-0 on Friday. They've overcome a slew of injuries, and they go get 2 points. And finally, UVM women's hockey. You want to get on this bandwagon. I'm telling you now, get on the bandwagon. UVM women are nationally ranked in the top 15 in the country. They are 10-5-1 on the season. They're 8-3-1 in Hockey East play. They have a top league goaltender in Jesse McPherson. They have All-Americans. They have Olympians. They have world championship caliber players. Right now, the UVM women's hockey team looks the best of any UVM winter athletic team. I encourage you to get on board, to get on the bandwagon. They're going to be home next Tuesday night against Dartmouth in a non-league game. Go out and see this team. They are that good, and they deserve your attention. Now, I spoke with head coach Jim Plumer earlier today. That's on the podcast channel on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. Don't miss out on this team, because they're really good, and they're really fun. They are a conference championship caliber team. They are an NCAA tournament caliber team. They're a veteran group. They're a hungry group. They're a group that has been building steadily. Building a hockey program is not easy. Todd Woodcroft has told us that it's very hard. The results on the men's side have shown us it's very hard to build a program. We're talking about a UVM team right now that is nationally ranked. And, before the COVID year, they were under 500 in 5 of 6 straight years. It's a grind. And Jim Plumer has battled and built and adapted. It's really cool to see where that program is at. They got two of the top 10 scorers in the league. The program was very down when I first got here, and now they are very much up. And I encourage you to be on board with them. All right, Dan Graca on the phone line with us now here on the Brady Farkas Show. Dan Graca is part of the Jets radio network. He's also a host at ESPN Radio in New York. Patriots beat the Jets 10-3 yesterday. Game-winning punt return by Marcus Jones. Pats now 6-4. Dan, thank you for being with us. I'd ask you how you are on this Monday, but I think I know the answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting, wasn't it, Brady? And by the way, good talking to you, my friend. Always good to catch up. Normally, if you follow the Jets as long as I have, and certainly most fans that are, go along with this team, you think that you've seen every way imaginable for this club to lose the game. But then you have something like yesterday happen, because to be quite honest with you, when there's 15 seconds left in the game and they're lining up to punt the football, we're already talking about overtime, my partner Greg Buttle and I. What's the strategy on the coin toss? Given the fact that the wind has played such a role in this game, do you even consider maybe even if you win the toss with the first, is to take the field position because you had faith in the Jet defense? Nobody thought that punt was going to be returned for a touchdown, considering the fact that there hadn't been one return for a touchdown all year in this National Football League. And, of course, it has to happen yesterday with the second left in the game.
I've talked a lot this year about the Patriots' mystique being gone, and do the Patriots have any kind of aura? And I don't think to most of the league that they do have a mystique. To the Jets, I think that they do. Do you think the Jets, scared is the wrong word, but do you think they're mentally aware of the Patriots and their domination?
Well, I think they're asked about it constantly, right? They're asked about it leading up to each of these games. But I'm going to be honest with you. There's this room, and I know the guys pretty well, and I've been there quite often, of course, and it's a confident bunch. They were confident going into that game at the Meadowlands a few weeks ago. They were confident going into that game yesterday. And look, Brady, to be quite honest with you, I think you just line up for rosters, 1 through 53 on the New England side and the Jets side. I think the Jets have a better football team. I think they have a more talented roster. And certainly, as once you were play there, they could have easily won both of the games they played this year. I mean, this isn't like the years past where it was Brady and Belichick, and they were just so superior to what the Jets were countering with. I really think that the Jets could play with the Patriots. Look, mistakes happen. Mistakes can cost you football games. A play here or play there. And that's what they have to learn. And maybe the next time these two teams play, the bounces will go in the other direction. But give the Patriots credit. This is a team that is certainly not as talented as Patriot teams in the past, and I think you know that quite well. But they're 6-4, and they're going to be playing meaningful games throughout because they're so well coached that they don't beat themselves.
Why didn't the Jets kick it out of bounds or kick it angled to the sideline?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? That's classic Monday morning quarterback and hindsight and everything. To be quite honest with you, I have not studied the punt. I haven't seen it again from like an all-22 angle or anything. I don't know if the wind got hold of it and maybe it blew it in a certain direction. I couldn't tell you. But what we were talking about earlier, it didn't enter into my mind that this was a chance that this was going to be taken back to the house for a punt return for touchdown because we hadn't seen one all year in the National Football League. I was literally planning for overtime in my head. Look, I mean, these things happen. Give the Patriots credit. They blocked it up perfectly. You have a dynamic returner in Jones. That's one of the reasons why Belichick drafted him. He was a tremendous returner in college. And he made a play that, let's be honest, won them a football game. So that draft pick, even if he does nothing for the rest of his career, Brady, that draft pick is validated because he won them a very important division football game.
Dan Graca from ESPN New York Jets Radio Network with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Look, we've had plenty of talk about our second-year quarterback and Mac Jones and if he is the guy and if he's regressed, etc. Where are Jets fans at with Zach Wilson right now?
Not overly supportive, at least this morning. I mean, certainly you read social media and you listen to our post-game show last night immediately after that game. It was a rough day at the office. And look, we've seen him have a couple of rough days so far in the last couple of years here in his career against the Patriots. Those were probably the two worst games that he played. And then yesterday, even though he didn't turn the football over, couldn't move the football. And, obviously he's getting slammed for the way that he handled the post-game media, maybe not taking enough accountability outwardly and in the public there when he was asked, to feel you owe the defense an explanation, or, you feel you lost this one for the defense, and he just said no and walked off the podium. Fans are not taking that very well this morning. And, here's the thing, Brady, and I said this afterwards, when he brought up the wind conditions and the crosswinds and so on and so forth, yeah, that's all well and good. I'm sure that it affected maybe some of the throws that got away from you in that game yesterday. But you can't use that as an excuse, because the quarterback on the other side of the field, he has to deal with the wind too, and it seems like it didn't affect Mac Jones. I mean, he still threw for almost 250 yards yesterday with 23-27. So you can't use the conditions as an excuse when the other team's got to deal with them too. And, oh, by the way, the other quarterback who's got just as much experience as you seemingly handled the conditions better.
Reports out that in addition to the fans being mad at Zach Wilson, the players are mad at Zach Wilson. The defense, the rumblings in the locker room reports were out earlier this morning. What do you make of potential infighting with the Jets?
I think it's just frustration, immediately after a game. I mean, certainly they felt that was the game they should have won because, like you said, they felt they should have won the first Patriots game, right? So, I mean, they were probably, that one was still probably lingering a little bit. They're still out there for a chance for redemption yesterday. A game that was out there for the take. All they had to do was put together one drive, a field goal. A field goal would have won the football game. And that guy, Garrett Wilson, who I know spoke out, and look, Garrett is a great dude. He really and truly is. He's one of the best guys you can talk to in that room. He gets it. He's mature beyond his years. Even for a rookie, not to mention, he's a really, really talented football player. I think that just stems from frustration. We'll go in there today. They'll watch the film. And bottom line, Brady, you got to turn the page. Right? And we were talking about this yesterday. If you asked any Jet fan over the summer, would you sign on Thanksgiving Day when you're sitting down and having your tea, that the Jets are going to be 6-4 and have 2 games on the docket for the rest of the season? Every single one of them would have signed up for that. So there still is a lot to play for. Everything they had in sight before yesterday's game, they can still achieve. They've got a Bears team coming in here on Sunday that you can't overlook. They've got a dynamic quarterback, of course, in Justin Fields, who can make you look silly. I mean, you saw what they did to the Patriots weeks back on a Monday night.
Yeah, they looked great against the Patriots, and that started a nice run of offense for the Bears, so you definitely will have your hands full coming up in that next one. Let me ask you an AFC East question as a whole, because we haven't seen Buffalo yet, right? It's we're heading into, week 12, and we haven't seen the Bills yet. We're going to see them the Thursday after Thanksgiving. You have seen the Bills. The Jets have beaten the Bills. What's your take on Buffalo as we start to get ready for them the first time?
To me, going into the season, and really for the first couple of months of the season, I thought top to bottom Buffalo was the best team in the sport. They were the favorites to win the whole thing. So that's why, you have that win that the Jets had right before the bye in Buffalo. Like, that's a good win. And I just remind people of that yesterday. It's like, you have the bad Patriot loss in week 8. Came right back, you beat the Bills, and then you're on top of the world again, and then all is forgiven going into the bye week. And that's the kind of analogy I used how to flush yesterday's game. It's like, okay, yesterday's game was a rough one, but now you come back next week, play a good game against Chicago, you're 7-4, and then you go into the stretch for the last, 6 days of the season. Buffalo's still good. And I got to be honest with you, I was very impressed at how they handled yesterday. Because I had every excuse known to man, Brady, to just punt on that game yesterday. You couldn't watch this in person on Friday because of the snow. It was all virtual stuff. It was giving you the COVID year vibe. So they were displaced. So they were so off schedule, off their routine. And for them to go in there and win a game against Cleveland, even though it wasn't perfect from start to finish, I think that says a lot about that team. When push comes to shove, I still think they're the better team. They've been dealing with some injuries on defense the last few weeks. Like when the Jets beat them, they didn't have both safeties. Matt Milano, their star linebacker, didn't play in that game. So I'm sure that helped the Jets a little bit. But I still think when push comes to shove, this is still the best team in the division, certainly, if not the entire NFL.
Yeah, to get you out of here on this, plenty of Patriots fans were calling for Mac Jones's head a couple of weeks ago, and they wanted Bailey Zappi to be the guy. And I said relax because Mac is better than Zappi, and they have a better chance with Mac than with Zappi. The question for the Jets is not quite as easy. If Zach Wilson struggles, should they turn to Joe Flacco? Is Flacco the better option maybe potentially for a playoff run?
If that happens, Brady, it's not going to be Joe Flacco. It's going to be Mike White. Because as of a few weeks ago, they demoted Joe Flacco and now and made it known Mike White is now the backup quarterback. And Robert Sala's explanation was, Mike White is still a young player. They want what they have in him so he gets more prep. Not to say that he's going to play in the game, but just to MVP. He's got a nice legacy. He's had a great career. We know that he's on the back nine, and who knows if he can even play football next year. They know what he is. They want to use this to evaluate Mike White. And, here's the thing about Zach Wilson. He's not getting benched. He's going to start against the Chicago Bears. However, if you still see a performance much like we saw yesterday, where they're not doing anything offensively in the first half of that game on Sunday, I think the coaches have to probably owe it to the rest of that locker room to give it consideration to maybe go to the bullpen and maybe look upon throwing in Mike White to jumpstart this offense a little bit, because you're 6-4. You're in a playoff race. I don't care that you're ahead of schedule with this rebuilding plan or whatever it was. You've got to play this thing out for the last 6-7 weeks of the season. As I said, you owe it to the veterans in that locker room. They can't all be part of a rebuilding process and watch your quarterback take his lumps and maybe not get this thing done. Owe it to everybody in there to put a winning product on the field.
Going to be fascinating to follow the AFC East throughout the entirety of the rest of the season. Patriots are back at it again on Thursday, Thanksgiving night against the Minnesota Vikings, and then they do see the Bills the following Thursday for the first time. Dan Graca, ESPN New York, Jets pre- and post-game show, Jets Radio Network, Patriots 10-3 victors over New York yesterday. Dan, we appreciate the time and the perspective today. Thanks. We'll do it again.
Brady, appreciate it, man. Have a great Thanksgiving, you and everybody out there.
Thank you very much. You as well, Dan Graca from ESPN New York. Interesting stuff there. I didn't realize that Mike White was officially number 2 on the depth chart. I even just saw Mike Golick Jr. on Twitter. He would say, if Wilson gets benched, does this mean the rise of Flacco is here? Everybody's thinking about Joe Flacco. I had forgotten about Mike White. Remember, Mike White started, I think, against the Patriots last year, or came in relief. Maybe Wilson got hurt, but Mike White played against the Patriots last year. So good stuff from Dan Graca. That interview going to be available shortly on our podcast channel on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. We'll come back. We'll throw a bow on the show. I'm going to give a shout out to 2 of our listeners. I'll tell you about them next on EV.
Hi, this is Tracy Lewis, Executive Director of the Berry Partnership. You may have heard that after 39 years, the Greater Berry Craft Guild called it quits on the annual Winter Festival of Vermont Crafters. We know how many people loved the craft fair, and we know how many people the craft fair brings to Berry. We just couldn't let it go. So mark your calendars and spread the word. The Berry Partnership's Merry Berry Holidays Craft Fair at the Berry Auditorium, Saturday, November 26th from 9 to 5 and 9 to 3 on Sunday, November 27th. Like always, you can expect the best crafters from all over Vermont. Free parking, free admission, door prizes, food and refreshments. Stop in and shop over 80 craft vendors at the Merry Berry Holiday Craft Fair at the Berry Auditorium. For more information about the Berry Partnership, email director@theberrypartnership.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date with all things happening here in Berry. The Merry Berry Holidays Craft Fair, November 26th and 27th at the Berry Auditorium.
The Berry Partnership, strength through vision.
Now more than ever, Vermonters are eager to get out and about. And Vermont's outdoor recreation businesses and organizations are here to help. They build and maintain the trails we walk and ride. They grow and sell the local food that keeps us going, and make and sell the gear that keeps us strong and safe. The Vermont Community Loan Fund is here to help Vermont's outdoor rec industry with our new Trails Loan Program, supporting outdoor recreation and those who make it possible. Trails offers financing and free business resources to help Vermont's trailblazing outdoor rec community grow stronger and more sustainable, generating jobs and energizing our rural economy. The Vermont Community Loan Fund, for over 30 years, Vermont's nonprofit business lending partner. Learn more about Trails and our other business lending programs at investinvermont.org. That's investinvermont.org.
Wouldn't it be great if you could target your advertising message to a geographic location? RVG Digital can do that. Are you a Vermont business but want to target customers in the Midwest? RVG Digital can do that. Do you sell appliances and want to advertise to customers who are actively looking for appliances? RVG Digital can do that. Today's marketing can be targeted to location, demographic, and interest. To learn more, go to rvgdigital.com.
The fall foliage blowout sale is on at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Our goal here at Lamoille Valley Chevy is to finish off this incredible year strong by making deals. Right, Pat? You got that right, bro. Folks, right now at Memorial Valley Chevy, our 7-acre lot is loaded with new Chevy Bolt, Blazers, Equinox, and several hard-to-find Silverado trucks. And many of these Silverado trucks have plows and dumps and are ready to go to work for you. And because business has been so strong, our inventory of clean, one-owner, late-model cars, trucks, and SUVs at Memorial Valley Chevy is massive. And we are ready to do whatever it takes to sell them before the snow flies. Listen to this special offer for you just in time for winter driving. During October, come get your best deal on any in-stock, newer, pre-owned SUV, and Memorial Valley Chevy will include full winter snow tires for just $1. You heard that. Get a great deal at the fall foliage blowout sale at Memorial Valley Chevy, just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of High Park, Vermont.
Move forward with a flexible Medicare Advantage plan designed by Vermonters for Vermonters with stable premiums and copays as low as $0. Vermont Blue Advantage Medicare plans put you first. We offer wellness rewards for all members, allowances for glasses, contacts, hearing aids, over-the-counter medications, and more. Call 1-800-516-8021 or visit VermontBlueAdvantage.com. Vermont Blue Advantage is a PPO and HMO plan with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Vermont Blue Advantage depends on contract renewal.
WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270BR Island Pond.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Quickly here, I went way over on the first segment of this hour, so only got about 2 minutes left here in the show. Jazz with George Thomas is coming up next here on WDEV. I want to give a shout out quickly to two of our listeners. First is our guy Steve in Fayston. Steve is a friend of mine. We went to the Red Sox game together. I got to meet him through WDEV. We've become friends. I went to the Red Sox game with him. It's his Patriots tickets that I sometimes buy and go down to the games. Well, he went to the Patriots game yesterday, and he brought me back a official, North Shore, Massachusetts roast beef sandwich. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that, roast beef sandwich is a thing in Massachusetts or in that part of Massachusetts. To me, roast beef sandwiches come from Arby's when I was growing up on Wolf Road in Albany. So I didn't know it was a thing. So we go to the Red Sox game and we went and got these sandwiches. Well, he went out of his way yesterday, coming back from Foxborough, to get a sandwich and then brought it to me today at WDEV. Steve, you are awesome. I cannot wait to have that official roast beef sandwich from Massachusetts later tonight. And then I want to give a shout out to I want to say it's Jonathan in Tunbridge. If it's not Jonathan, I'm going to make good on it tomorrow. But I got a Christmas card, a holiday card from one of our listeners. Came out of Tunbridge, said he loved listening to the show. I much appreciate you as well. Wanted to know how he could listen to his show while he was doing work in his yard. That's simple. It is WDEVradio.com. It's WDEVradio.com. Again, if it's not Jonathan in Tunbridge, I got to look at the card again. I looked at it in the commercial break, but my memory sometimes just goes that haywire on me. So now I'm going to have to make good on that, I feel, tomorrow. Thank you very much, though. Very, very thoughtful. Go download the Brady Farkas Show podcast, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and Jasmine George Thomas is next. See you tomorrow, everybody.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Watt, and I am a personal care attendant for PCA at Central Vermont